Home. It's where you build your legacy, where traditions are started, seeds are planted, meals are shared, and stories are told. We are Chris and Natalie Carpenter, owners of Story Real Estate, and our team of top agents helps people find homes in Moscow, Idaho, and around the country.
Have you thought about a move? Contact us to get connected with a top agent who shares your values and puts your family first. Or reach out to us about our Moscow relocation guide.
Wherever you're looking to go, we can help you find home. Call us at Story Real Estate or visit us at storyrealestate.com and start building your legacy.
While God created the world, the morning stars sang together. After God delivered Israel through the Red Sea, Moses and Miriam led the people in singing. God destroyed Israel's enemies under King Jehoshaphat, while the choir sang. When Jesus was born, the angels sang, and before going to the cross, he sang. God rejoices over us with singing, and one of the only things we know for certain that everyone will be doing in heaven is singing. At New St. Andrews College, we understand that music is not an elective. It is central to our being and identity. We endeavor to train all our students in a joyful and robust musical literacy that will help them shape culture in a Christ-like direction wherever they go. Additionally, we offer the Certificate of Music in conjunction with our bachelor's degree in liberal arts and culture for students who desire extra music training beyond the regular music courses they will take as a part of the core curriculum. In the certificate program, you won't simply appreciate music or listen to it or talk about it. You will do music. You will study it, analyze it, read it, write it, sing it, and play it. You will receive private instruction in your primary instrument, as well as secondary lessons in voice, piano, conducting, and other instruments. You will receive a solid foundation in music theory and analysis. You will study music history, church music, and music pedagogy. And when you graduate, you will leave with the ability to sing, play, understand, and steward music in whatever church or community you plant yourself. I'm Dr. David Erb, and this is the Certificate of Music at New St. Andrews College.
Hey y'all, welcome to Cross Politics. It is Thursday on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Pastor Toby Chuck Knox on the Water Boy. Stay with us. We got Pastor Thiago coming on.
From Brazil.
And we're going to talk about the whole, is it a January 6th repeat?
We never had whatever they think January 6th was.
It's not even a repeat. It's not a repeat of whatever we think the repeat was.
They're presidential
and
stuff.
Yeah, whatever that's going on.
Drama.
And last night, I'm walking out of practice. I was coaching practice 9 o'clock last night. I'm walking out, and it was snowing.
Yeah.
It was snowing.
It's still winter here.
And then it was wet. It's kind of wet snow. I was like, maybe it'll just melt. I'm not getting my shovel out. And I still haven't got my shovel out.
It's not enough to shovel.
But no, there's not enough shovel. But it was blanketed. I had a light, nice little white blanket.
So that's the thing that asked me, what's going on? So how do we get from Brazil and January 6th to you coaching and shoveling in winter?
He's just getting things off
January,
things off his chest.
That's it, man.
All right.
People like me for that reason.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh, this is a new ad?
Now is the time to sign up for a club membership.
Ooh.
At fightlaughfeast.com. Because it has an exclamation point. That's how you're supposed to read exclamation points.
You're doing good.
All right. This year, there's no more exclamation point. This year, Cross Politic will be dropping exclusive content into our club portal that you won't be able to find anywhere else. Some of this content will include a Bible study series with yours truly, if Neil ever tells me when I can start recording that again. That's me, Pastor Toby, yeah. I'm going to do that. A special with New St. Andrews President, Ben Merkel, Dr. Ben Merkel. Our backstage content, most days we hang out for a few more days or a few more minutes. Yeah. And sometimes days.
How'd your time go with Chavo when we left?
I needed about another hour.
It was so good. Yeah, I felt like that was too short of an interview.
I asked him for 10 minutes. He gave me 16.
Okay,
so.
You got it.
Right,
that was wonderful. I was so blessed by that show.
Seriously. Probably also there'll be stuff back there that Gabe hasn't even told us about yet.
Still working on that.
That's how he does things. Mm-hmm. Also, when you sign up to become a club member, you make us free, like Steven Crowder. So again, head on over to fightlaughfeast.com. When you sign up,
touchy subject right now.
You set us up to say whatever needs to be said.
Are you done? That is true.
That's what we wanted to do. So get signed up today at fightlaughfeast.com.
Okay. So this is the year of Christian nationalism.
Right? Is it?
I mean, I would think so.
I think
at least the buzz. There's a lot of buzz around Christian
The
nationalism.
millennia of Christian nationalism.
All right.
We're on millennia 2 of the rule of Jesus Christ.
So the Christian nationalism. It's a bit. There's a lot of buzz going on this last year, and apparently Christian nationalism is not just a conservative thing. That's what everyone thinks.
Duh.
That everyone thinks that Christian nationalism is like this conservative and maybe even white kind of. There's maybe this white,
which is really
connection.
racist to think that y'all get Christian nationalism by yourself.
I know, not the black people. Anyways.
No.
And so Biden.
Yeah. He came out.
He was.
He's a Christian nationalist.
Yeah,
Yes,
pretty
he
much.
is.
I mean, look at him in the church.
Before I went to the black church,
Oh.
Must have been a long time since he been there, huh?
Before I went
So that
to
was
the,
Ebenezer.
Everybody's been like, he ain't never been to a black church. Like, y'all leave this man alone
Yeah.
in his winter parts of his life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's forgotten probably what it was like. And he's like, man, it's been so long. I've really enjoyed this. And he's just enjoying the moment.
But he's really there.
Although
he's not like that's not photoshopped.
Well, he's there.
in.
The Spirit of the Lord isn't, but go ahead.
Yeah. In
So-
the atmosphere.
So he was even preaching.
Yeah, he
The
preached.
president. So apparently liberal presidents are allowed to preach in the pulpit, not conservative.
Wasn't the
ones.
gospel of Jesus Christ, but
No.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Preaching.
So that's why. But so yeah, that is not Christian nationalism.
no, it kind of is.
I don't know. I'm starting to get a little confused on the Christian nationalism.
Liberal Christian nationalism.
Oh, we got to put caveats in front of it. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Godless Christian nationalism.
If the conservatives are
there
going
you
to
go.
take Christian
Sodomite
nationalism,
Christian nationalism.
well, they're going to have
We're
to take
getting
it from
there.
the left. The Christians, conservatives are, because that's who's doing it right now.
Right. Yeah.
That's why the fight over Christian nationalism.
Yeah.
It's not like, Christian nationalism is rising up. The liberals are like, hey, don't you come for our Christian
Yeah.
nationalism?
Right. We're running this.
We're running it right now.
We're the bosses.
We got our own sermons. I don't know.
But this brings us to Chicago.
Oh,
So Lori Lightfoot
Gabe.
ends up in the pulpit
Gabe, why you got to do this?
in Chicago, but it's
Yeah.
kind of for a momentous occasion.
Oh.
Okay, do you want to?
she
You
got-
want to?
she got
You have
another-
a little background. You got a little connection
Yeah.
here.
Did she get another haircut?
You know, it's hard to tell.
I just don't know if she needs
It's
haircuts
hard
anymore.
to tell. You know.
I don't know if her hair grows that way anymore.
Oh, stop. There's so many jokes.
No, you remember she got a haircut
During
during
the
COVID,
during the-
right?
Yeah.
When the barbershops were closed down.
Yeah.
It was illegal to get haircuts.
And she got a haircut.
She got a haircut.
And even though she told everybody else not to, she
Yep.
told them not to go partying, don't go to your neighbor's house,
No.
stay inside,
Stay home.
don't go anywhere,
Yeah.
get off the streets.
Right.
So
Crazy.
James Meeks is a pastor. He's been pastoring since I think he started the church in the late '80s, and he is
In
now
Chicago.
in Chicago,
It's,
south side of Chicago, Salem Baptist
Yes.
Church, and he's retiring. And he's passing. The reason why this is important is because he's passing off the reins to Charlie Dates. Now, Dates,
about him.
Charlie Dates, he kind of really popped on the evangelical. He's been going for a long time. He's been a known name inside of seminaries, inside of evangelicalism. But then MLK 50 is when he really.
maybe that's where
that's where
I
everybody
caught it.
really said,
Okay.
and he's an electrifying speaker. He's got great rhetoric, and he's a fun guy to watch. And you see him, he's like, you get excited just watching Charlie Dates. I mean, again, phenomenal speaker and great rhetoric. And so Meeks is passing off the reins to Dates. And so you have the sending off of one pastor and the inauguration of the other.
Oh, so and Miss Lightfoot came in for this?
Auntie decides to show up for it.
She's like the bishop.
Nobody wanted the job she has had to lead Chicago through a pandemic, but she has landed the city and herself on her feet, on our feet. She is our leader. She's here today with her family, and she's come to Salem in this moment to speak to us. Salem, would you please warmly receive our Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
All right, now you know it's church. Don't act up in here.
They acted up as soon as they decided to ask you to come up and have a few words. Now, just in case you don't understand this, she has a lesbian partner.
Right.
She's a lesbian.
She wants to call him a wife. Or something like that.
Yeah, that's what everybody wants you to call. So
right.
Charlie Dates is taking over the church. Meeks is leaving the church. And the inauguration of Charlie Dates, he has a homosexual woman with her partner
Family.
come up to give some salutations to one and acceptance of the other and a little hope for the future.
Yep.
Now, those of you who have your Bible, Pastor Pastor, did they really think I was going to come up here and talk to this congregation and not know my Bible?
Well, they should have thought that.
Well, you don't know because you don't know what a husband is. Apparently, you don't know what a marriage is. You don't know what a family is.
She doesn't know what a pastor is.
Biggest black church in Chicago, 10 to 16,000 members, something like that.
Yeah.
It's massive. And this man Meeks has been doing this ministry for a long time, and she considers Meeks to be one of her most trusted friends.
Advisors.
Advisors.
Yeah.
And Dates, by the way, who has some reformed tendencies, very educated theological man.
Did he go to SB?
I don't think he went.
Southern Baptist Theological Seminary?
I don't think he went there, but he's definitely connected to it. He was
at MLK 50
and was at one point a part of the SBC in some manner.
And he's been involved. I was just watching a video earlier of him on he was on a conference call or on a webinar with a bunch of SBC presidents from the colleges, the 6 colleges, and on the webinar he asked them, all the presidents.
I don't think it was the president. I think what it was the head of the executive committee, him and other black pastors.
No, I think you're right.
So it was at the head of the executive committee, which, by the way, is probably the top of the SBC you can go.
Right.
I think even in one sense more important than the president. Yep. And he basically asked,
say Black Lives Matter.
Say Black Lives Matter.
He asked him to say it?
Yeah. Say it. He said, say Black Lives Matter. You say it, Pastor, say it. Right? And
whenever anybody does that,
I know. Just immediately, you just don't do it.
Don't do it.
And so
I told Knox, say White Lives Matter.
And so he was upset because he didn't say it.
Yeah.
And he said this is the same sort of connection really that happened in the old SBC, where they had this bifurcation of the soul of the black man from the body of the black man. And there, to this day, that's why he couldn't say it, was because he's still struggling with that. So that is, well, that'll come back up later. But let's just listen to a little bit of the sermon from
Lori.
Yeah.
Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6, the Lord tells us, be strong and of good courage. Fear not, nor be afraid of them. For the Lord thy God, he is that doeth go with thee. He will not fail thee.
What? King James?
Nor forsake thee. So how do we apply that lesson to this moment? Great leaders build a legacy that can sustain them after they are gone. Great leaders make sure that there is someone else that they have been grooming to take over when it's their time to leave from the scene.
Lord have mercy.
Yep.
Great leaders know that people of faith, they don't need a leader, they need their faith, and they need to listen to the teachings of the Lord.
This hurts, man.
Yeah.
This hurts. She should have been dragged out of there along with all the elders of the church and say, we will not have it.
Yeah.
We don't do that here.
Right. Yeah.
All of the Wakanda lines need to happen at this point right now.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
No, sir.
Yeah.
I want all my tithe offering back. What are y'all doing?
Right.
Yeah.
So this is, I think, is this the last clip, Haley? I want to play this last clip, and then I want to make
the last clip for Lori.
Here's the deal. At the end of this, she says, "Hey, thank you, God bless," and she walks off. And as she's walking off, her homosexual partner comes up, hugs the first lady and the old pastor, and then they walk off.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking, like, are you serious?
Right.
You just had a homosexual woman come up here, inaugurate your ministry, and then her partner come up, hug the first lady, the pastor, and then walk on the pulpit. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason why this strikes me really, really...
And this is a Sunday church service, too.
So, Charlie Dates left the SBC. And he had a whole letter that he wrote why he left the SBC.
Okay.
And it was because the 6 seminary presidents came together and said, you can't have a biblical understanding and then embrace critical race theory. You have to outright reject it. Mm-hmm. And he was upset that the seminary presidents rejected critical race theory, and that was the last straw that broke the camel's back of why he had to leave an ungodly, unholy, unrighteous Southern Baptist convention.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
These people don't know God and don't know his people. Oh, we gotta go.
CRT.
We gotta go.
Yep.
And yet, as he's getting inaugurated into the pulpit to declare the gospel of Jesus Christ,
all these abominations
he
are right in
has
front of his face.
an abomination walking up to the pulpit.
Yeah.
Right.
Sir, I'm sorry, you're disqualified.
Yeah.
You are not qualified in any way to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ if you cannot see what just happened in front of you. You need to retire, take off your clergy collar, and walk away. Shame on you, sir.
Yeah.
And then to lead all of these people down that road without so much as any sort of rebuke. You should have never let her up there. Ain't no welcome back. Go away. How do you get any right to speak to what the SBC is doing when you in your own yard and house haven't cleaned up that mess?
Right.
And that's how you're going to start off pastoring this new mega church?
Right.
Shame on you, Charlie.
Yeah.
You know better.
Yeah.
And you called her auntie? Bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How could you?
You desire the praises of men over everything.
Right.
I mean, if you were in that church, run.
Yeah.
If you're in that church, get out. This cannot go well for you.
Right.
Ichabod has already been written over the front door.
Right.
And you are in danger. Your soul is in danger to be underneath a shepherd like that. He will not protect you. He is not protecting you.
Right.
And,
Well, and he's walking into such a situation where he is so compromised already. Even if he thinks he can like maybe come in and maybe change the situation.
How are you going to see the problems of SBC when you're compromised on the basic level?
Well, and I'm also thinking of like the SBC college presidents. I imagine like, catching a lot of flack for not, saying what they said, having Charlie Dates leave.
I'm sure they caught some smoke.
And everybody's like, you guys better. This is a moment to be like, no, look, see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, this man has shown
what
us
Charlie's doing.
He's a fool.
Yeah.
Right. He is a fool. That's right.
He's a fool and not a godly man at all.
This is ridiculous.
And so this is a moment for the Southern Baptist presidents to stand up and actually say that.
That's a really good point,
say
Pastor.
That. We drew the line here because we said if you embrace this, you're not going to be biblical.
Yeah.
And look what happens.
Look, he left. He threw a fit. He said, "I'm out of here."
That's exactly.
And what did he do? He ran right to this church where he is now condoning implicitly homosexuality
during his inauguration and installment of
and the grooming of little kids into sexual perversion by this woman.
Just upsets me so much.
And you know what's really a shame is I made this comment earlier, right before we started the show, because I was a little upset that you're going to make me watch Mayor Lori.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've had enough Mayor Lori for my whole life.
You said something I need to say real quick before you say that.
But no, I'm
going to pray for her.
No,
is that what you're going to say? I'm sorry.
Just one more
I'm
second.
sorry.
You did what I do. Don't do what I do.
You're right.
The real shame in all this is that no one's loving that woman.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the real shame. No one is praying for her. No one's actually loving her enough to tell her the truth.
That's right.
They're cheering her to hell.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean,
with the scriptures.
And the woman is clearly unloved.
Yeah.
Right? She's clearly unloved. No one's ever loved her. I don't know her dad. I don't know her brothers. I don't know anybody around her, but no one's actually loved her. That's why women go butch. That's why they reject the natural love of a man. Because they're bitter, they're angry, and it's frequently because they've been mistreated and they've contributed their own sins to the process. But we need to pray for that woman.
Yeah.
And we need to pray that God would actually raise up some real men who would actually love her enough.
That's right.
To care for her enough and tell her that she needs to repent of her sins. She needs to repent of her theological sins. She needs to repent of rejecting the real God of the Bible whose name she invoked.
Yep.
And she needs to repent of her sexual sins.
Yeah.
And the ways that and then of course all her political sins, the way she sinned against Chicago during the COVID pandemic.
Yeah. Hypocritical, hypocrisy and all stuff.
He's embracing a tyrant on the stage.
I know.
So, I got to say this and then I need to shut up because I'm going to say probably more than I need to. But it is easy to throw guilt and to fight against white people who are already feeling guilty about a situation. It is hard to preach the gospel to someone who is in love with their sin.
Yeah.
And we will always
That's right.
find the ones who are taking the easy way out and mark them. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
That is the easy way out.
Right. Yeah.
That is the easy way out.
That's great, Knox.
Yeah.
And we need to say, no, we show no partiality.
Right.
There's no part. We don't have to do one or the other. We can do both and, okay? And so anyway, this is.
Well, and he can't do either or.
All right, Pastor Thiago, did I say it right, Pastor Thiago?
I think so.
We're going to talk Brazil next on Cross Politic. You don't want to miss it. It's hard to find out what's really going on over there. Well, we got somebody on the ground. Pastor Thiago up next on Cross Politic.
It is the duty of the free man to resist tyranny at every turn. Every man will either watch his freedom stripped away or take action to protect what he loves. Introducing the A3, the newest revolutionary body armor from Armored Republic. The A3 is the new standard for lightweight multi-hit body armor. A3 plates are incredibly light at 4.6 pounds. The patented design captures fragmentation while remaining multi-hit capable. The A3 will stop up to M80 ball, yet comes in at only 0.7 inches thick. The A3 is the thinnest NIJ.06 compliant or certified composite standalone plate that includes the drop test. The A3 is the first of its kind, patent pending, that combines an alloy strike face with polyethylene backing, revolutionizing body armor technology by providing strength and durability while remaining sleek and maneuverable. The A3 is the new standard in lightweight body armor. The fight against tyranny just got stronger.
Wait, so would you have changed your whole sermon if you would have saw her out there in the congregation? I just wondered,
right
like, if your
minute.
pastor, she shows up at the church, would you
I'm
have...
like, okay.
Romans, here we go.
Romans 1.
Was it?
Welcome back to Cross Politic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Classical Conversation supports homeschooling parents by cultivating the love of learning through a Christian worldview and fellowship with other families. They provide a classical, Christ-centered curriculum, local like-minded communities across the United States and in several countries across the world, and they train parents who are striving to be great classical educators in the home. For more information and to get connected, visit their website today at classicalconversations.com. Again, that's classicalconversations.com. We're very grateful to have with us today on the show Thiago McHertt. We didn't ask him about his last name, so we're just going with it.
That's good.
He's a pastor of a small Reformed church located in Joinville, South Brazil.
Ooh.
CREC candidate church, actually.
Yeah.
In addition to pastoring, translates and edits for Monergismo. Yeah, should have practiced that too. A Reformed publishing house. Thiago and his wife Sarah have 3 children. Thiago, thank you for joining us on Cross Politic.
Thank you for having me, and let's jump into the subject. Yeah,
absolutely. So tell us about let's start with actually your former president. So
okay,
your former president,
Jair Bolsonaro.
Thank you.
I nailed it.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of popular, I would say up here broadly with some of the like Trump supporters.
Tucker Carlson liked him.
Tucker liked him, and so on. So, what was your
sure.
What was your assessment of the former president? Let's start there, and then let's work our way into the election of your new president.
Yeah, Bolsonaro. He is called the Trump of the tropics, right?
Okay.
So there's a lot of like people used to. They're usually doing some like comparisons between the two. So both of them are very populists. They're like very well received by large groups of people. Both of them are pro-guns and anti-abortion, promote family values and things like that. So there are a lot of similarities between the two of them. But so Bolsonaro came to power now in 2018 after a long, like almost 8 years, almost 16 years actually of the Workers' Party in power in Brazil. So he was seen and he was received by the people as the guy that would come and would change everything, and there's no corruption. He would not allow it. And so he would basically solve everything. And of course, that's not exactly what happened. There were lots of problems there. He did do some lots of good things, I would say, for the country. But at the same time, there was this tension between Bolsonaro and the media and the establishment and everything else. So there was all of this going on. So if you take a look to his time in power, the last 4 years, what you can see basically is how Bolsonaro came to a clash with the Supreme Court in Brazil. Okay, so to anyone that is looking outside into Brazil, trying to see what is going on, one of the important things that you can see happening here quite clearly is the unlimited power of the Supreme Court right now.
Ooh.
So they are basically intervening in the other branches, the executive, and also legislative power. They're doing whatever they want, basically, and there are no ways to handle them. So I even mentioned to you before that if you want to have an idea of how bad things are in this sense, like even the New York Times is asking if they went too far, if the Supreme Court in Brazil went too far.
Wow.
So, okay, so if the New York Times is asking if they are being repressive, you can say something fishy is clearly going on, right? So this is a problem that was going on during his government, and they intervened a lot in the process of the elections, right? Mainly, the whole thing could be, of course, traced back to when they quashed Lula's sentences.
Yeah.
Right. So Lula, the guy that is won the presidency, he was in jail. Right. He was convicted, and they quashed his sentence. So he got 12 years, and he was in jail for 580 days, if I'm not mistaken.
What was he in jail for?
He was in jail for corruption. So he was involved in this big scandal of corruption in Brazil, biggest scandal in Brazilian history, and that's what he got convicted for. So he got out of jail on a technicality because he was judged by the wrong court, and it's not that it is not that there wasn't any proof. It's not that he was innocent. It is that there was a problem with the zip code and everything else. So he was Fred, and he was eligible again. So he was the one chosen to run against Bolsonaro, and so at the time, nobody, people were like upset about it. They were criticizing it, but nothing like concrete was done to stop what was happening. And this is one of the many ways in which our Supreme Court intervened. So even Bolsonaro didn't take his stand against Lula getting out of jail, and he said basically that he would rather defeat Lula in the elections, and we can see how well that went, right? So there's a whole that, like we used to say here in Brazil, that Brazil is not for beginners. Right, so this is Latin America after all, and we have our ways of messing things up.
So, Pastor Thiago, the election, they're comparing the election between Lula and Bolsonaro, to our kind of Trump-Biden election. And one of the things that, as I understand it, one of the charges that has also happened from Bolsonaro's group and supporters is that there was a fraudulent election and Lula got elected. Is pretty much all elections have fraud in Brazil? And was this anything unique or different?
I believe that, like in Latin America, you are always doubting if the elections were clean. I don't think this would be something new, but lots of things that happen made people to doubt this election even more. First, surely what happened in America and all the questions that were raised there about how things were handled in your last presidential election. And here, of course, Bolsonaro said some things. For example, he said that if he lost, the election was rigged.
Heard that before.
So yeah, exactly. So you have people that would follow him in anything he would say, and of course, people would buy that too. But there were things that were happening. For example, in the runoff, so our election, we have a first run. So if no candidate gets more than 50%, you have a runoff one month later, basically.
Yep.
So during the runoff, the two top guys in the runoff were Lula and Bolsonaro. And during this time, for example, Bolsonaro's campaign, they filed a petition asking for review because Lula's campaign were getting way more radio ads than Bolsonaro was getting. Okay, so they argued that was a problem, and they are legally required to have the same airtime. So when this happened, but the electoral court, they dismissed it, right? So people are like, okay, why are they dismissing it? What is happening? And so other things that happen, and we faced it even like in companies and in stores, because here, if you're going to vote, there are for the president, you have two numbers, and you're going to use those two numbers to vote for a specific man. So Bolsonaro was 22 and Lula was 13, right? So some shops, they wanted to support Bolsonaro, and they would put on their shops, for example, if you buy here, you have 22% of discount, right?
Yeah.
22% off sale.
Yeah.
And the electoral court ordered them to remove that. You couldn't do that. Okay, you couldn't do that.
Okay.
The electoral court ordered that you couldn't, like in the television and media, you couldn't call Lula an ex-con. You couldn't say that Lula was pro-abortion, right? You couldn't say that. If you said that, you would get a fine from the electoral court.
Wow.
So if you ask me, I would say that that's a problem. You have censorship, and this is censorship.
Right.
This is a big problem. This is intervention, direct intervention in election. And so with all this, it's not a surprise when the results came off and Lula won, people were like, okay, this was stolen. But all of this is not like the same of hard proof.
Right.
That it's clear that the courts are acting in a way that they couldn't.
Right.
That this should be stopped, right? But then after Bolsonaro lost, his campaign filed another petition because, according to them, the old voting machines had a problem. They couldn't be properly audited, and then you couldn't be sure if the results were correct.
Wow.
His party. The parties in Brazil, they are supposed to oversee the electoral process, right? So his party, they filed a petition to reveal this, fined because they were raising questions about the election.
Who got fined?
So
Who got fined?
YouTube was censoring people talking and questioning the election. The party that filed the petition to reveal the problem with the voting machines.
Oh, wow.
Yes, Bolsonaro's party.
Got fined for asking questions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
They were asking for an investigation, right? And so this is what I would say, that the biggest problem we have clearly is the way our Supreme Court is behaving in the midst of all of this. This is going on for a while. And you have no way to, there's no way to appeal from them because they are the Supreme Court.
Except for Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Thiago, we're right at the very end of our segment, but just really quickly, I know there have been protests, pretty significant protests going on in Brazil as a result of the election. Just can you talk to us a moment just about what's the spiritual condition of people in Brazil? And I know this is a massive topic, but just, I guess briefly, where are people at in terms of, just their hearts and how they're thinking about this? And particularly, I guess, as a pastor, what are you thinking? Like, what do these people, obviously they need Jesus, they need the gospel, but maybe even more specifically than that, What's their condition, and how are you thinking about ministering to them in the midst of this political turmoil and chaos?
Yeah. So Brazil is heavily influenced by the new Pentecostalism. So we have a very, very big influence from the prosperity gospel in Brazil.
Yep.
This is very, very strong in here. And this, like the evangelical population in Brazil, so it's a big chunk of our population. They were most of them were supporters of Bolsonaro, and there was like this kind of mixture between like Bolsonaro is talking about God, and God is overall, and he's pro-family, and we believe this stuff, and I believe that lots of people they ended up putting their faith in the wrong person, you know. So you have Bolsonaro is called Jair Messias Bolsonaro, but he's not our Messiah,
Right?
Ooh.
Right?
And
you do have a problem there. I don't believe that everybody did it, but you know, when you're talking new Pentecostalism and you're talking prosperity gospel, these people are no good in theology at all. So we can basically think how they think politically.
Wow.
Right. So this is a very bad mixture of things. So what we've done here, although being a small congregation here in Brazil, is we even before the election, we were going, for example, through First Timothy, and talking how God ordains us to pray for
leaders,
for the political leaders, and how we should understand that we're not to pray to them but for them, and how we should understand this, and how Christ is king over all kings, and how we should understand that. And we were trying to talk to people about it, and even because of the turmoil in the country right now, after people's hopes that there would be a military intervention or something like that seem to have gone away. Like, people are basically thinking, like, what is going to happen? Is Brazil going to become a new Venezuela? Like, what is going to be our future? And this may be this is actually a very good opportunity for us to preach the gospel and to explain to them where they hope should be at, and things like that. So, but it is a mess. It is a mess, because even if you get to Reformed circles in Brazil, they're usually not very firm, not very clear on how to think over these things, and they're kind of not very influent, and sometimes they're even leaning towards the other side of the spectrum. So you know, you have some problems there.
We don't know anything about that in our country.
It's so funny.
Never heard of it.
It's so funny talking to Thiago, and just like there's very similar.
Yeah, I want to ask him about it. Can you stick around for a little bit? You got about 5-10 minutes to stick around.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Be praying for Brazil. Be praying for Pastor Thiago out there. Wow, this is.
Be praying for Lori Lightfoot.
Yeah, be praying and Charlie Dates. All right, if you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids, and if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.
Putting off writing that proposal again? Yeah, we've been there. Proposal writing can be tough. It takes work, and if you're not careful, you can set up your company for failure. Well, that's where we come in. Smart Pricing Table is an innovative application that focuses on, well, the pricing table. Instead of a static document and constant back and forth, our platform creates interactive proposals that empower your prospects. Not sure if something is needed? Make it optional. Have complicated services that vary? Let your customer do the work with line item upsells. Have reoccurring services? Easy peasy. With Smart Pricing Table, you can create attractive proposals quickly. And our system is built for reuse, so you can get out of that hamster wheel. Give your customers choice and close deals quickly with Smart Pricing Table.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like cross-politics or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, you will enjoy Refining Rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.